You ever have that feeling that a place is watching you? I mean, really watching you? Before you even notice it? Because that's what happened to me the winter I turned 17. And it all started with a house. My name's Elliot Cross. Yeah, the last name is important. I didn't really know it at the time. After my dad died in a car accident, my mum decided we needed a fresh start, a new town, a new house, somewhere we could heal. We moved into this old 3-story house at the edge of a quiet northern town. The kind of town where the streets are empty by 8 and everyone knows everyone else's business. The house itself was huge, creaky wooden floors, steep stairs, drafty windows, the kind of place that looks charming during the day but feels wrong at night. Mom told me it had character, but as soon as I stepped in, I got this weird feeling in my chest. Something cold, like the house had a heartbeat of its own. The house had been empty for decades. Apparently, it belonged to a distant relative, a doctor named Thomas Cross. The story everyone told in hushed tones in town was that his wife and daughter vanished one night in the early 80s, then he just disappeared. Mum said it was coincidence that we shared the same last name, but I later learned she'd gone pale when she realized it. I asked her about it then. She just smiled and said, "Family stories are complicated." That smile didn't reach her eyes. My room was on the 3rd floor, tucked under the slanted roof. One window faced the forest, and that window became my life. I stared out it every night, mostly to distract myself from missing Dad. But then things started happening. The first night, I remember it clearly, I woke to a soft tapping on the glass. At first, I thought it was branches brushing against the frame, but the sound was too precise, too deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. I froze. It stopped. Then it started again. I rolled over to look, and there she was, a girl, outside my 3rd floor window. She had long black hair plastered to her face, pale, almost grey skin. Her hand pressed against the glass. Her lips moved, whispering something I couldn't hear. But her eyes, they were wrong. They weren't just dark, they were empty, like someone had cut through them and left hollows that stared right into my chest. She smiled, a slow, almost casual smile, like she'd been waiting for me. I screamed. The lights flicked on. Mum rushed in. Of course, when she got there, she didn't see anything. "No one's there," she said. "It's probably a dream, Elliot. You're stressed." But the next morning, the frost on the window had formed a word. Help. Written large, uneven, like someone had used their fingers to carve it. The days that followed were subtle at first. Doors would creak open. I'd hear footsteps in the hallways, even though Mum was working and the house was empty. Sometimes I'd wake in the middle of the night and feel cold, like someone had stood at the foot of my bed. Mum tried to dismiss it all, but I could see it in her face. She wasn't telling me everything, and that made me even more uneasy. Then I found the old trunk in the basement. I was looking for a flashlight when I stumbled across it. It was covered in dust and cobwebs, shoved against the far wall. Inside were stacks of newspaper clippings, yellowed letters, and photographs. All about Emily Cross, the doctor's daughter. She had gone missing in 1981, last seen standing at her bedroom window. The clippings said the town searched for months. Nothing. Her father, Dr. Thomas Cross, apparently lost his mind after she disappeared. One letter, unsent, written by him, was chilling. "She keeps calling to me from the window, but the glass is cold and she's gone before I reach it. I think she's trapped between reflections." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing that tapping again. I lay in bed, frozen, staring at the window, and then I saw movement in the reflection of my mirror. She was there, not outside, inside the room. Standing behind me, barely moving, I spun around. Nothing. But the reflection didn't lie. Her eyes were staring straight at me, and she whispered my name. Elliot. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, I tried to find out more. I asked around the town, carefully, subtly. No one wanted to talk about the Cross family. Some muttered about family curses and strange experiments, but no one would go on record. That night, I decided to record the window, just to prove I wasn't imagining it. 3:17 a.m., the tapping started, slow, deliberate, and on camera I saw it, her hand pressed against the glass. No body, Just that hand, and faintly, a whisper. Elliot. Mom saw the footage. She went pale, deleted it immediately, said, "Never record her again." I pressed her. "What do you mean, her?" She didn't answer, and that silence said more than any words could. After that, things escalated. Footsteps outside my door in the middle of the night. Objects moving on their own, pens sliding off desks, chairs tipping. Once I woke to find the bedroom window wide open, even though I remembered closing it. I started keeping a journal. Every event, every detail, every whisper, every tap. And slowly patterns began to emerge. She wasn't just random. She was following me. By the time I discovered the attic, the doctor's old study, I was obsessed. Dust covered everything. Shelves of jars, old medical equipment, and one mirror. Tall, cracked, covered in cobwebs. My reflection looked wrong. It wasn't just me. Something else was behind me. A pale figure. Silent. Watching. I stepped closer, and that's when I heard her voice. He took me. The room around me seemed to twist. The reflection in the mirror showed a hospital room. Emily, standing there terrified, and Dr. Cross holding a scalpel, muttering, "I can fix you. You'll never leave again." I stumbled back. The mirror cracked. Blood started seeping through the shards. When I looked again, she was gone. But on the floor, among the pieces, was a photograph. It was me. And Mom, taken recently. On the back, in red ink, "Family never forgets." I thought moving into that house was supposed to be a fresh start. I thought leaving the past behind meant leaving Dad's death behind. But that night, lying in my third-floor bed, I realized the past had followed me. And it wasn't just following. It was waiting. After the mirror incident in the attic, I became obsessed. I spent hours in the basement, going through the boxes, reading the letters and newspaper clippings over and over. Every word, every sentence made my skin crawl. Emily Cross, the girl in the window. She wasn't just a ghost story, she was real. The letters hinted at something worse. Her father, Dr. Thomas Cross, had tried to preserve her soul. He believed it could be trapped in mirrors. And if his experiment worked, then maybe, just maybe, Emily wasn't gone at all. The more I dug, the more I realized the horror wasn't confined to Emily. Every Cross descendant had experienced strange events. One clipping mentioned a distant cousin, gone missing after claiming he heard her voice in the walls. Another spoke of a young woman who refused to sleep in her bedroom because the mirror stared at her every night. And me? I was living that exact nightmare. The first week after discovering the attic mirror, things got worse. It started small. My reflection would linger a little too long. I'd blink, and the girl would be closer. Her pale face framed in the corners of the mirror, watching, waiting. Then objects started moving. Not violently, not like poltergeist movies. Subtly, pens sliding across desks, a cup tilting slightly, a chair nudging forward as if someone invisible had sat in it. I started sleeping on the couch. Mum didn't argue, she just watched me. Like she was scared I'd see something she hadn't. One night, I woke to a cold draft. Windows locked, doors closed, no sign of break-in. But something was in the room. I turned slowly, and she was there. Not in the reflection. Right there. A girl, pale as ash, standing at the foot of the couch. Her hair clung to her face, damp, almost like she had been swimming in a dark lake. She looked human, but wrong, hollow. I froze, my chest burned, my stomach twisted. And then I realized she was smiling. The same slow, deliberate smile. She tilted her head, whispered, "Elliot." I bolted upright, the lights flicked on. She was gone. But the mark remained, scratched into the wooden floor. "You're next." The next day, I had no choice but to confront Mom. I asked her everything. She hesitated, then broke. Tears streaked her face. She said the Cross family had always been haunted. "Your great-grandfather did something terrible," she whispered. "He thought he could control death. He tried to trap Emily's soul, and it went wrong. Every generation has suffered, and now it's your turn." My stomach dropped. "How do I stop it?" I asked. She shook her head. "There's no stopping it. You can only survive it." I didn't survive long. The nights became unbearable. I'd wake at 3:17 a.m. every single night. The tapping on the window, the soft whisper of my name, the feeling of someone standing behind me. I started leaving cameras running. Nothing on them made sense. Objects moving on their own, yes. But sometimes, the girl would appear on footage that didn't exist in reality. She would stand in the corner of my room or lean through the window and then vanish when I checked. And always, I heard her voice, "Elliot, help me." But what could I do? I didn't know how to help a ghost trapped for 40 years. Then I found the journals. Hidden in the attic, beneath loose floorboards, was a small, leather-bound journal. It belonged to Thomas Cross. Every page reeked of obsession. Every page of Emily. He wrote about mirrors, about reflections, about how he had trapped her essence inside the glass. He believed she could be kept alive forever, preserved perfectly. And he had succeeded. Except something went wrong. He described her turning hostile, hateful, violent even. And then his handwriting became erratic, scribbled warnings. Do not let her look at you. Do not let her see your reflection. She hungers for the living. She chooses a cross. Once she knows you, you are hers. I started piecing things together. She wasn't haunting me randomly. She wasn't just a ghost. She was hunting the bloodline. She wanted me. The first direct attack came 3 nights later. I was brushing my teeth, standing in front of the bathroom mirror. Nothing unusual. Then I felt it. The pressure, like someone had pressed their face against my back. I turned slowly. No one. Then the mirror fogged over, even though it was winter, and words appeared. "You're mine." I stumbled back, heart racing. When I looked again, there was nothing. But then, I saw her, not in the mirror, standing behind the bathroom door, pale, smiling, dripping wet. I grabbed a towel. She disappeared. But the smell lingered, damp, like rotting water. After that, I knew I couldn't hide. I started researching. Old town records, library archives, anything mentioning Thomas or Emily Cross. I discovered a chilling pattern. Every Cross descendant had sightings. Every one of them at least once. Sometimes only they could see her. And the disappearances always followed. The town didn't talk about it. It was too taboo. Everyone feared the Cross family, not because they were mean, but because they were cursed. And I had inherited it. By now the haunting wasn't just nightly, it was daily. I'd hear her humming when I walked past mirrors. The faint sound of wet footsteps upstairs. Sometimes I'd glance out the window and see her standing across the yard, staring straight at me, tilting her head, smiling. The forest behind the house, the same forest that had always seemed alive, became a stage for her. Branches twisting unnaturally, shadows moving against the wind. Everywhere I went, I felt her eyes on me. The first close encounter inside the house happened in the kitchen. I was making tea when I felt a presence, a whisper. "Elliot?" I spun around. The knife block shook slightly. The knives lifted. Not like someone had grabbed them, like the air itself was alive. One knife hovered, then dropped. I froze. Then she appeared, walking through the doorway. I couldn't move. She just looked at me, smiling. Then vanished. But I swear I saw her shadow lingering on the wall. It became clear. She wasn't a playful spirit. She wasn't here to scare me for fun. She was testing me, hungry, waiting, patient. And I had no idea how to stop it. I started setting rules for myself. No mirrors, no reflections, no looking out the third-floor window at night, no sleeping alone. But she didn't care. She adapted. One night I woke up and realized something terrifying. The tapping at the window wasn't coming from outside, it was inside. Her hand pressed on the inside of the glass, cold, solid, real. I screamed. Mom rushed in, she saw it too. And for the first time she admitted everything. She isn't just a ghost, she's part of our family. She waits for the right cross, and once she finds them, she won't leave.